E3 on Twitch. Let us know what you guys are thinking, what you guys feel, and we're gonna ask you all what you thought about Ubisoft.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Right now.
30 minutes, 30 seconds till 8 o'clock.
I got you, Boo. All right, this is
Gonna rock on some PlayStation Live.
It's 3 minutes. I got 15 seconds. What are you talking about?
I said 30 seconds.
I said 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That's what I heard.
I meant to say 30 seconds if I did.
Oh, we got 4, 3, 2.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Clay Navigator Bowman. Welcome to SonyCentric Live, ladies. SonyCentric Live.
And what Ash said is they added new elements.
You know, we're not at E3. Well, we might as well be at E3. I'm joined by the host of
Wait,
SonyCentric.
are we recording?
Yes.
Where's the recording thing?
We're live.
On YouTube.
Say hi to everybody.
Oh.
Say hi.
My bad.
Everybody.
Go ahead.
Yo, shouts out, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined by the Sony team. We got Yhani Jones. Yhani, what's up?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
And we got Veronica Ciati. What's good?
Hey.
And then we also have the one, the only Joshua Jeremiah JJ. Oh, so sexy Pietro joining us again. What's up?
Yes, I am Filler. I mean, hi.
So check this out, yo. We're gonna be doing this live on YouTube all night long. Well, not all night long. Well, as long as the Sony E3 conference is taking place, as well as an hour beforehand. So make sure you use the hashtag up in the corner SonyCentric E3 to talk about any and everything Sony E3 conference. So we obviously have gone through the Microsoft conference, the EA conference. We've gone through Ubisoft. We've gone through Bethesda. We've gone through the terrible piece of shit that was the Volver Digital E3 conference. Josh only got about 2 minutes in and said, "Fuck this shit, I'm out."
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what that was. I'm still trying to process everything in my head about what I saw, and it's like my brain just doesn't want to participate in that activity, and I don't blame it one bit for not wanting to. That was more cringeworthy than the debut of the PC gaming podcast a few years ago when they tried to do it talk show style.
Oh God, yes.
That I would rather watch 3 more hours of that than the 2 minutes of Devolver Digital that I saw before just quitting.
No, I definitely hear that. But we did get through some of the good conferences, including Ubisoft, which had a lot of good presentations. So let's start talking about the previous presentations before we get into the Sony presentations. Now, we saw a lot of games that were exclusive to the Xbox One. We also saw a lot of games that will be also coming to the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro, such as The Crew 2, and Assassin's Creed Origins and Anthem, to my belief. Question: Do we potentially see a full first party Sony presentation for the most part? Veronica, I want to start with you on that one.
I would think so, just basing it off of what they did last year and continuing a lot of the announcements they made last year, like God of War and Spider-Man, things like that. So yeah, I would think so.
Johnny, what about you?
Yeah, I really think they're gonna follow up with what they did last year, and then I really have a feeling they're gonna have some surprises for us. I think Sony's got something in store under their sleeve.
And Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the same. Sony's got, a couple of tough acts to follow. Microsoft had a pretty good press conference with the Xbox One X, even though there's a lot of, mixed feelings on that across the internet. Ubisoft had a very strong conference. So if Sony's going to try and measure up, they're going to have to lean on their first-party stuff, possibly talk about PlayStation VR, and, of course, give us updates on stuff like God of War and, all the other IPs they released last year. So it's pretty much going to be like a continuation of what we saw, plus maybe a few surprises. Who knows?
All right, so let's go back into the previous. Let's go back into the previous and really sit there and talk about all of that previous fun stuff. Start off with EA. We got mostly sports for the most part, but we did get a little taste of Anthem. We did get a huge set of news on Battlefront, 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2. What did you take out of the EA conference? I'm gonna start with Josh on this one.
I didn't really take much out of the conference. To me, it was just EA being EA. I mean, every single year, it's the same thing. It's like, all right, here's Madden, here's FIFA, here's more from our sports lineup. And then they go into their, more AAA IPs and they call it a day. I don't think EA has done anything spectacular with their press conferences ever since they decided to go off and have their own. Been the same formula every year, and this year they followed it again. So it was a sleeper opening to E3. I mean, I know it's supposed to be part of the pre-E3 event on Saturday, but honestly, if that's the way they're going to do it from now on, I'm perfectly happy with it staying on the pre-E3 event because it was just boring.
Veronica, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'd agree. I thought it was pretty boring. It didn't do much for me, especially, I mean, to be fair, I'm not really interested in sports games. That's not my thing. I know it is for a lot of people, but at the same time, it's like a lot of these games come out every year, so I don't see what the need to host a press conference and then feature these games. Yeah, it didn't really do much for me. And then they featured Anthem a little bit, but even then they didn't really. It was like, oh, this will be at Microsoft's conference. So it was like, okay, then
all right,
what else do you have?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, even though it's not as engaging as other conferences, I was still pretty excited over it. I don't play Madden or FIFA so much, but I do play 2K, so I was interested in the NBA Live 09. But regardless, from the conference, I was excited to hear with new Madden, with them using the new engine, the new game engine for their, the Frostbite game engine for Madden 18. And then I was really excited to see more about the Need for Speed and, some more gameplay footage from that. So that was really exciting from the conference there. And also Star Wars Battlefront, because I love the first one. So I'm excited to see. Now we finally have a story mode, so I'm excited for the campaign.
Yeah, that was something that I think everybody was looking forward to. Star Wars 2 Battlefront. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was something definitely to look forward to. Then we moved on Sunday to the Microsoft E3 conference was kicked off the whole thing, and Microsoft came out the gates really strong. In a sense, where they just said, "Yo, here's the Xbox One X, and here's what it can do." I think it was probably the strongest performance Microsoft has had in a while in terms of their E3. I want to start with Veronica on this one. What did you take out of the Microsoft conference? What are some things that you really are looking forward to? What are you impressed by? All that kind of conversation.
I was impressed. They kept throwing the number around that they had 42 games there. I think that was impressive. The Scorpio or the 1X or whatever they're calling it.
Right.
That was cool. That was a good opening. My only thing was, I think that, especially with like some of the indie games, they were, what were they calling it?
The idea
ID or something? Yeah. I think that they showed a little too many, because a lot of those games, I'm sure, are really cool, but it would be easy for those smaller titles to kind of get lost in the shuffle. So I think there was a couple things they could have trimmed down, and it did get pretty hectic. I think we were all writing and trying to type up everything they were presenting, and so maybe it's that part of it as well. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, it was, I think, definitely the strongest conference so far, for sure. That's like nitpicking that there was too many games, but that's not a bad complaint to have, I guess.
Josh, we'll go to you for this one. Let's continue the thoughts about the Microsoft conference, your impressions, what you took from it. I know we did talk about this a little bit on the experience. You can go catch that. It is on the YouTube archive. But Josh, if you can kind of like shorten that out a little bit.
Yeah, well, I already talked about my points in the Xbox One X over there, so you can always check out that podcast. And give my full thoughts on why I think it's not as bad as people are making it out to be. But the biggest takeaway I would say, aside from the upgraded Xbox, would be the backwards compatibility with old Xbox titles. So that was probably one of the biggest things that was missing for me out of buying an Xbox One, was the fact that at first you couldn't play 360 or even the original Xbox games on it. I mean, heck, you couldn't do that with PS4, so I still got one of those, but it also boiled down to exclusives. But now that I can actually start playing my library on Xbox One X, and that it's going to look even better because of the way that the processing and graphics are handled on it, that alone got me excited. And then, of course, I saw, how beautiful Forza Motorsport 7 was, and how it, looked on 4K, and with the dynamic weather and the fact there's trucks in there. I know we stressed that on the other podcast, but I still love the fact there's so much variety when it comes to vehicles you can choose from. So, those games, plus it has an actual RPG for once in Ashen coming, and they got Path of Exile coming to Xbox, and PlayerUnknown's Battleground coming. So, all these games that you love on PC, they're coming to console. I think it's finally time for me to invest the money and get myself a console. And yeah, I could save some money and go with an Xbox One S, but why? If you go big or go home, right?
Yeah. Yanni, your takeaways.
Yeah, I thought the most exciting part was the reveal with the Project Scorpio Xbox One X. I was really looking forward to see what exactly. Well, first off, I wanted to know the name change, if Scorpio was the official branding for the new system. But regardless, hearing that it's $500 and getting to know more about the specs of the system and everything, I really think it's like Josh was saying, it's a pretty good investment. Why not? And then also, the games Anthem was really interesting. I was glad to see that. And then more with Life is Strange. That was really cool because I played that, so I'm excited to see what the sequel has to bring. So overall, the conference for me, I was really excited to learn about the new hardware, and also what Josh was saying, the backwards compatibility, how they brought that back.
Yeah, so a lot of it with the Microsoft conference was definitely the games, and seeing Life is Strange was actually a really big surprise for me as well. I'll definitely say that. I'll definitely say that.
You know what one other surprise was for me for the Xbox conference?
What's up?
The absence of HoloLens. What happened to that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, here's the thing. They did talk a little bit more about that on their what was it? They did talk about that at the education conference early May.
Fair enough, I guess.
So they did touch on that. And apologies if I'm a little distracted. I'm actually, multitasking as well. Arranging all the coverage that we're gonna be doing in the Outerhaven and stuff like that. So we move on. Bethesda had their conference. Welcome to Bethesda Land, ladies and gentlemen. Josh, you weren't there for that. I don't think you got a chance to actually catch up and see that.
No, I was actually sleeping so I could actually work today.
Yeah. Veronica, your thoughts during Bethesda? Actually, no, let's go with Yanni first. Your thoughts during Bethesda.
Okay, so overall, I was excited. I'm a really big fan of VR content. Even though I don't have a headset yet, it's something I do want to get into eventually. So they announced the Fallout VR and Doom VFR. So that was exciting because I know a lot of people like Fallout, and then this new, the new way to play is, even though they've played it before, it's definitely going to integrate, some new immersion and everything. And also the Evil Within 2 trailer was phenomenal. I didn't get to play the first one, but seeing this new one and hearing what they had to say about it, I'm thinking about going back and playing the first one so I can, play the second one.
Right. Veronica, thoughts on Bethesda Land?
Yeah, I would also say Evil Within 2 was was one of the better parts. I'm looking forward to that. The first one was, I think, kind of came out of nowhere and surprisingly was pretty cool. So that was nice to see. Wolfenstein 2 also looked really cool, which is what they closed with. I thought that was a nice finish. Yeah, and then I think Fallout VR and then Doom VR, we kind of knew that was coming up, so that wasn't too surprising. Yeah, so I'd say decent conference for sure. There's a couple things that stood out, definitely.
And then we move on to Ubisoft, which actually had a couple good announcements coming out of it, especially a little bit of gameplay trailer from Far Cry. And Steep, the DLC. Mario and Rabbids was a surprise to see Miyamoto for the first time at an E3 stage in 3 years.
Yeah, that was really weird. It's like, oh my god, Nintendo is there live? Am I seeing things? Is this like a Nintendo Direct that's pre-taped or something and just like superimposed with HoloLens? No, it's actually Miyamoto. He's there on stage and collaborating with Ubisoft of all things
to make
I can get behind this.
To make it a tactical RPG, and then Josh was like, "I'm leaving this position."
Yep. Sorry, strategy games and tactical games are just not my thing.
And that's understandable. But a lot of it, in terms of Ubisoft, we saw Just Dance, we saw the typical kind of stuff. It got really cringy. Yhani, what were you impressed by coming out of Ubisoft?
Yeah, so seeing the crew too, that was really cool. The graphics look amazing, and then all the different vehicles that we'll be able to play and race with and everything. And then also that wrapped up the show Beyond Good and Evil 2. That was really I did not play the original Beyond Good and Evil, but seeing this trailer just made me want to find out what this game is about and really get into that because it looked great. But overall, oh yeah.
Well, if you want to play Beyond Good and Evil 2, Beyond Good and Evil, the original one, you get yourself an Xbox One S right now. That's $200, and go get the backwards compatible version of that. Or I believe it's also I think that was an Xbox exclusive, if I remember correctly. I can double check. The original Beyond Good and Evil is on Steam. You can get it on Steam as well.
Ooh, okay.
And it's on. Oh yeah, right. That's right. It's on PS2 and GameCube.
Nice.
So yeah, you can get it on those. You can get it on the PS3. Whatever tickles your fancy.
Yeah.
Veronica, what's up? Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying overall the conference was a blast. And it was just really fun.
Yeah, Veronica, excuse me. Your thoughts. What impressed you out of Ubisoft?
A lot of it was, I think, stuff that I expected. I think we all expected would be there, like Assassin's Creed. I thought it was kind of weird that Assassin's Creed was at the Microsoft conference, like that they announced it there instead of at Ubisoft. I thought that was really odd, but I will say, like, Assassin's Creed to me is something that has never really interested me, and I think for the first time I'm kind of thinking that this looks kind of interesting. It looks kind of cool. Far Cry 5, which is already announced, I think also looks very interesting. I think the big surprise, like Yhani was saying, was Beyond Good and Evil 2. I don't think. Yeah, I didn't expect that one at all, but that was a good close for sure.
Let's talk about Beyond Good and Evil 2. So let's talk quickly about that. First of all, on the YouTube, on the Wikipedia page, it says it's happening. Legitimately, it says Beyond Good and Evil 2 is happening in capital letters. That's the first thing. The second thing is, Josh, you came in a little bit before the end of it, and got a chance to see the whole thing. Your impressions on Beyond Good and Evil 2, as well as the whole Ubisoft conference as well.
They actually, well, first off, I think people are a little over exaggerating saying that Ubisoft won E3 already. So there's still some E3 left called Sony and then Nintendo. So hold those results just a little bit longer. But they did have a good conference. I never played the first Beyond Good and Evil, and honestly, I just threw the story up without looking at it, just to help you guys out. So it's only because I haven't played the first one that I didn't really care much about the second one. That's kind of how I roll. Like I don't really care about sequels if I don't play the first games. So yeah. Um, from what I saw, Ubisoft did have a good conference, but I didn't really get a chance to watch it because I was kind of working. I just walked in like 5 o'clock and like, "Hey guys, let me help." That was pretty much it.
That's understandable. And now we're up to Sony, and then we have Sony and Nintendo left. So let's talk about Devolver Digital a little, and
Let's not.
why the hell that was so cringy. Like, who thought it was a good idea to do 15 minutes of shit posting at E3? Like,
Well, at least they were blatantly honest, even though it was meant to be taken as a joke. But at least they're blatantly honest about, showing them a whole bunch of pretty stuff so they can, earn the people's money. I mean, that's pretty much exactly what E3 is all about, where any business in America is all about. So, yeah, at least they came out and said it. I guess I can give them points for that. Fail on everything else, though.
So we're instituting the challenge now. The Devolver Digital Challenge now, Josh. That's the thing.
Snap.
Yep, the Devolver Digital Challenge. I dare you to watch this longer than I have. I made it 2 minutes and 33 seconds in. Our friend Nate said he made it to 4 minutes and 35 seconds, but he was farming mounts in World of Warcraft with that on in the back. I'm like, no, that doesn't count. You actually have to be physically watching this. So he's disqualified.
I actually got through the whole goddamn presentation. 15 minutes.
All right, well, I guess you're the no-life champion then. Congratulations, you win.
But then again, I was watching it live, quote unquote.
You still made it to the end, though.
Yeah, I know. Like, Carl had to tap out on that one. That was just insane. He was like, nah. As soon as they hit the nosebleed, it was like, nope. I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm closing out the tab.
I mean, there is a reason why we don't have any news stories up on the Outerhaven for Devolver Digital. We just want to put that out there.
There is a reason, ladies and gentlemen. Bethesda took preference. So, I got in contact with Keith, and I talked to him about his experience at E3 so far, and he says it was terrible. A lot of walking. Bethesda was a practical fire hazard. Yeah, that's what he said. And I'm looking forward to going to and doing this all again next year.
Of course he said that. It's Keith. He complains about everything. He complained when we actually hit 1,000 views on or subscribers on YouTube.
Oh shit!
I was like, wait a minute, we hit a milestone. You're complaining? It's Keith, dude. I mean, you could present to him the best computer in the world made out of solid gold, and he'd find something to complain about it. Word. It's too heavy. It's too shiny.
Oh shit! The shots. Fuck. Oh damn. But getting back to Sony now, let's talk a little bit about Sony's history at E3. So for those of you that don't remember, Sony has had a very spotted history at E3. One of the biggest mistakes that they made at E3 was Final Fantasy 14 online. Or was it Final Fantasy 11?
Or was it the Vita using the best network in the world, AT&T?
Or was it maybe the PS3 coming in at $600 United States dollars?
Okay, so there have been a couple of missteps in Sony's game plan over the years.
But Sony has definitely bounced back in this generation with the PlayStation 4, especially since they got the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to go after Microsoft and announce that they're not doing any kind of DRM, countering Xbox One strategy in 2013. Now, we all know how that swung the pendulum into the favor of Sony. Definitely. All the momentum is in Sony's favor now. The question is, after the Xbox One X announcement, do you think that Sony has a good amount of ground to make up? Anyone?
I guess I'll start off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do. They do have to rely on a lot of the first-party stuff in order to get them through this. I think that they should take a different approach and start pushing PlayStation VR. I know it's kind of a little niche thing and it's kind of died down, but if anyone can capitalize on it, it's them. Because honestly, aside from like Google Cardboard, it's pretty much one of the most affordable VR systems out there, especially for a major gaming company. And of course, they're going to need something big to close the show with. And we're not talking about gameplay footage from God of War or anything like that. We need like a brand new IP that we haven't seen in a while. Maybe we could drop some Final Fantasy VII remake release dates on us or something. They're going to need to come out swinging in order to kind of do that. And one of the things that we actually talked about, just jokingly, I would guess, that they could do to really drop the bombshell is announce that they too are going to be backwards compatible all the way back to PS1 with an update. That might be actually something worth dropping a bomb for.
Yhani, do you think that they should kind of double back on their words that they said backwards compatibility isn't feasible?
Feasible as in
people aren't going to play it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't think they should. Yeah, like I don't think that's the most valid statement because like we were discussing before in a previous episode. There's still classics that are from previous generations still in the PlayStation family that haven't come to this new generation that people are still fans of and still enjoy. So yeah, I think yeah, I don't think they should say that so much as far as it being not feasible and everything.
What do you think? Well, what the approach that Sony should take? What do you think the approach that Sony should take coming into this E3, knowing where they stand now with the Ubisoft and the Microsoft conferences that have already been taking place?
Yeah, as far as like with Microsoft and Ubisoft, I definitely want to see some release dates. Some stuff that we know will be coming out in the next 4 months, the rest of this year, or the next 5 months or so. And yeah, like Josh was saying, some new IP would definitely bring out the show some more. So I definitely want to see some release dates and as far as like their previous titles that they teased us with last year.
Veronica, what do you think Sony needs to really just like break past that edge this year?
Well, I think last year's conference for sure was really strong because they had a lot of new content that we didn't know about it, and it was a really big surprise, and it was well paced. But yeah, like Yhani said, we do need release dates with a lot of these games. Like showing us Death Stranding or whatever is really cool, but it's like this game isn't coming out until the PS5 probably, so. It's it's a lot of waiting with Sony. To go back on the backwards compatibility thing, I think that absolutely is something that they should look into and invest some time into trying to figure that out and seeing if there's a feasible way to make that happen. Especially since the PS2 on PS4 lineup that they announced, I don't know how long ago that was, but those games I don't think have really kept up the pace. I mean, how many new or re-releases of the PS2 on PS4 do we get? Not even one a week, so
I think that's an issue. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that was kind of their response to what Microsoft was doing with backwards compatibility is we'll do PS2 on PS4, but it's when you only have 24 games or whatever, it's not really keeping up. So I think that for sure is something they should look into and invest resources into.
I can definitely agree with that. I mean, Josh, because we do know that like games like Parappa the Rapper and other games like that, they get re-released on for the PS2 lineup, and it did get achievement support and 1080 upscaling to a degree. But do you think that's enough? Do you think that's enough to hold Sony down? If they were to come out and say, in response to the Xbox backwards compatibility, we're going to allow you to buy all your old PlayStation 1 classics all over again.
No, especially if you had to pay for them. I mean, with the Xbox backwards compatibility, you put the disc in that you already own, and you're playing it.
Or you have the digital version of the Xbox 360 version, right?
Yeah, exactly. With PlayStation, like they try to do with PlayStation now, rent your old favorite games or something like that. That's not a business model that works. They're going to actually have to do the same thing as Microsoft and allow you to put the disc in the system and play from there via some sort of emulation. So that's what they're going to have to do in order to basically, keep it going. But, I'm all for, updating older titles. So, I mean, re-releases are great because not only does it inspire nostalgia for the people who play them, it introduces those games to a whole new generation that hasn't. So, releasing titles is a good thing, but if you're going to charge people for them when they already own it, that's where the business starts to fall apart.
Oh, let's talk about that. Crash Bandicoot is the game that's coming out the end of June, and that's something that people have been really looking forward to as a re-release of the original three Crash Bandicoot games. Do you think that we can possibly see maybe a return of games such as Spyro the Dragon or maybe Gex the Gecko?
It's possible. I mean, we'll have to see how sales go. I mean, if Crash Bandicoot does well, it could open the doors for other titles. I mean, it's all about, business. If something is going to sell well, and you're going to use something as like that measuring stick, you need something to gauge the reaction. And if it's positive, then why not go for it?
So Mega Man Legacy Collection, got it.
Right?
Yeah,
Except all 10 of those games should have been on the first collection, but that's just, my opinion.
right. Yanni, do you think that we're gonna get some more platformers to come back? Are we gonna get a remaster like Jack and Daxter? Could we get a remastered Spiral the Dragon, or a remaster, a sequel to Ratchet and Clank, or something like that?
Yeah, I definitely think, like you said, like the nostalgia is real. Like, we've already seen like some PSP classics like Loco Roco and Patapon come to the PS4 and everything. So I don't think it's out of the question that older games like Jack and Daxter and Spyro, could come back, sometime in the future.
Veronica, what do you like? What else would you like to see out of this PlayStation conference outside of release dates, new IPs, and revivals of old classics? What do you think that we should see out of it? And maybe we can go and take a look at the angle of, I don't know, accessories maybe.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they push VR.
Right.
They've got to push VR. Vita 2. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh God. She's trolling,
uh,
ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
At least we hope. And then all of a sudden they open with Vita 2.
Well, you're crazy enough. It's not. It's not totally impossible.
Would it be far fetched, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, Veronica's like, that's a Gert Kirsten.
Hmm.
Look at these energy readings.
We have to stop Dr. Wowie.
Yo,
Which you can in Mega Man Legacy Collection too.